My name is Solomon Kershaw, Solomon Alexander Kershaw, and I was born and raised in Adelaide, South Australia. So right now I'm a delivery driver for a company called Newpack, which delivers mostly bakery goods, and I'm also a head cook at KFC. Yeah, so Monday to Fridays, every day, nearly day and night. At the moment, there's not really anything that really has taken my fancy in career-wise. So I've just just been doing what I need to do to get around and making it work for me so far. Water skiing and wakeboarding and really anything to do with the river is definitely way up there on my priorities of things to do. Yeah, so we have a property up the river, and I get up there as much as I can and hit up the boat and the jet ski and all the wakeboards and kneeboards and all that sort of stuff. But by far my forte would be wakeboarding. That was the first time I've been on like a long haul flight and first time in the States or anything. It was pretty intimidating at first, but then once you get through the first flight, you're like, that wasn't really as crazy as I thought it was going to be. Yeah, so camp was one of the best things I've ever done. It was you pretty much just get flown to this place that you know nothing about, and then you just meet all these people that are awesome, and you go to this place and just teach kids how to wakeboard, water ski all summer, and it was honestly one of the best things I've ever done. Yeah, so all day pretty much I was either driving a boat or on the back of a boat instructing kids how to ski and wakeboard, and that's pretty much what we did all day. Probably one of the best things about camp is you get to meet so many people from literally everywhere, all over the earth. So yeah, I've got heaps of mates throughout the UK, all through Europe, all through America now. By the end of it, you can look back and just go, if I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have met you, and then I wouldn't have done all this stuff. But you get to a final point, you're like, wow, this is awesome. I think I'm going to keep wanting to go back to camp because I really enjoy camp, and even if my mates weren't at camp, I do actually enjoy just teaching the girls and just getting to know them and everything. So I think that that's something I'll keep doing for a while.
After the camp, did you come straight home or did you stay abroad?
So I was at the camp for 2.5 months, and then I flew over to London and travelled Western Europe for a good 3 months. Okay, so I flew from New York to London, and then London I went to stay with my auntie in Canterbury, and then we went back up to London, and then from there we went over to Paris. When we got out of Paris, we went through all southern France, through all the little cities, and we went to this town called Rennes, or Rennes as they pronounce it. And about half an hour's drive from there is this castle called Saint-Mond-Michel, and it used to be its own village, built up like in the water. How they could have built it 300 years ago or whatever just amazes me. And then we went to Bruges, which is in Belgium, and then up to Amsterdam in Holland. So Amsterdam's just really a beautiful city all around. It's really touristy, so there's all little museums and little kooky cafes and everything everywhere, which was pretty cool to go exploring. And then I caught up with one of my mates over there who just happened to be travelling there, him and his girlfriend. And we went to the Sex Museum actually, and that is just as weird as you'd think it would be. And then we went to Munich, which is in Germany, and then I stayed a few nights in Brussels. And then I went back over to England and went up to Glasgow for a few weeks. And I went the bottom of England down to Bournemouth, and then back to Glasgow, and that's where I came home from.
I was coming home after such a long period of time.
It's really hard to explain how it was. It was really good to see everyone, but there's just like, it's just really weird being away for that long, then coming back and going straight back to normal life again, because obviously you've had all these experiences and changed as a person and all that. It's totally changed my outlook on the way I see everything really. Instead of going out on a weekend, I'd much rather just save my money and go traveling again, because that's what I really want to do, is just experience and see as much stuff as I possibly can. I've actually booked my flights for about 2 weeks from now. So I'm flying straight back to America, doing the whole summer camp kit and caboodle again, and then hopefully go traveling after that a little bit. Yeah, I'm just chasing the summer.
you know what? The kid used to go to school with his pants backwards. I'm Samantha Kershaw and I'm Solomon's mum. I get excited for him. I just think there's a lot more things to do than Adelaide. Travelling's good fun. There's a lot more out in this world than, you know, when we've all just been raised and live in Adelaide. I travelled a little bit, but I had kids young. But I've travelled a bit more now and I'll do a whole lot more. I didn't have the upbringing that Sol's had. I wanted to do the camp stuff. My parents couldn't afford it. So I always had it in the back of my head to send my kids over there. Yeah, I think he'll not come back next year. I think he's got a work visa for the UK. I think he'll do the year away. So I think he'll stay away. And good on him, I would. And once you're in the UK, you can access everywhere. So much cheaper than here. Get a little bit envious of his adventures, but it's a little bit different when you're 19 to when you've got kids and house and baggage at home. He's alright, I don't know. I wish I could be there to sort the stuff out, but he's alright. No, you know what? I'll miss him. The Monday to Friday stuff.
Yeah.
I won't miss the weekends with 20 people in that room. But, nah, you know what? They gotta go. You gotta go and do it. And with Skype and Facebook and that these days, you can speak to them every day anyway. Like, you don't have to be in the same house.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's different now than when I would have travelled. You wouldn't have spoken to anybody. Like, your parents wouldn't have known where you were in between postcards and stuff like 20 years ago. So now you know where they are all the time. So, nah, I'm happy for them to be somewhere else.